That should be good. Okay. So as I mentioned, we're going to work on collaborating our joints here together. So by making a wave with the spine. So our spine is actually designed to move like water. And the better that the spine moves, the more freedom the rest of the joints will feel and have in the body. So spine is the stability. So when we talk about core strength, I argue that the spine is more of your core than what's happening up front here. So being able to control our spine, we want it to be very mobile, is going to help everything else feel nice and warm and be able to move at their optimal functions. So with your wall, either whether it's imaginary or real in front of you, we're going to start to initiate some spinal movement from the top of our head all the way down into our feet, okay? So you're going to face the wall. Maybe you're about a foot distance or so away from the wall or away from your target. Start by standing upright. And we're going to start by touching our forehead to the wall. So you're just going to lean forward a little bit. Forehead is going to reach towards the wall, whether it's imaginary or it's there. When the next spot touches the wall, then the last spot is going to release. So we're starting with our forehead, and then the next spot to touch is going to be the nose. So when my nose touches the wall, my forehead comes away. And then it's going to be my chin. Chin to the wall, nose comes away. Chest. So chest to the wall, chin comes away. Ribs. Ribs to the wall and chest comes away. Hips. Hips to the wall. Good. And then knees. Knees to the wall and the hips come away. And then as I pull the knees away, my forehead is going to come back to the wall. So we're going to play with kind of making each one of these movements independent and then smoothing it out together. This is going to look kind of goofy. You're going to feel kind of weird up against the wall. And just go with it. Okay, so forehead, nose, chin, chest, ribs, hips, knees, forehead, nose, chin, chest, ribs, hips, knees. Dive back forward. Forehead, nose, chin, chest, ribs, hips, knees, forehead, nose, chin, chest, ribs, hips, and knees. So notice when my knees are at the wall, my head is all the way back. When my head comes back to the wall, my knees and hips are away. Okay, so keep playing with this movement, smoothing it out as much as you can. Forehead, nose, chin, chest, ribs, hips, knees. And once you feel a little bit more comfortable with the wave, you can take a little step back away from the wall and you can practice it without that wall target in front of you. Or maybe diving a little bit deeper if you've been practicing without the wall. Okay? So I'm initiating this movement from the top of my spine all the way down to my body, creating this wave motion. Good. Forehead, nose, chin, chest, ribs, hips, and knees. So you're going to bend in the knees a little bit as you dive that head forward, creating this spinal wave in your back. Okay, good. We're going to go 10 more with this. Play with it, whatever variation you're at, whether you're breaking it down piece by piece or smoothing it out. Good, let's go another 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. Shake it out a little bit. Now we've initiated from the top to the bottom. So now we're going to go from the bottom to the top. Okay, it's going to be a little different sensation. So this time, again, using your wall if you've got that target, we're going to start with our knees. So knees are to the wall first. My head is the furthest back, okay? So knees to the wall. Then I'm going to bring my hips to the wall and my knees are going to release. So knees are off the wall, hips are to the wall. Then it's going to be chest, or ribs, sorry, ribs to the wall, hips are away. Chest to the wall, ribs are away. Chin to the wall, chest pulls away. Nose to the wall, chin releases. And forehead to the wall, nose releases. And then when I pull my forehead away from the wall, my knees come back. So we're starting this wave from the bottom to the top. Notice the movement in my neck to get that roll from the chin to the forehead. Starting that movement from the knees up. Knees, hips, ribs, chest, chin, nose, forehead. Good. Knees, hips, ribs, chest, chin, nose, forehead. Nice and slow. And then start to smooth it out. And you can step away from the wall, breaking it down from the knees all the way up. Feel the pressure in the feet and the ankles. If you're limited in the knees, you might find it a little bit harder to go in this direction. So just find whatever range you can move in and start to practice there. Good. Starting at the knees and letting that wave all the way to the top. Good. Let's go another 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. You can relax and shake it out a little bit. How's it feel? Doing all right? All right. So again, we've got another option on initiating from the top to the bottom. This is where our figure eight is going to come in handy. So with your eyes, if it helps, you can track that figure eight with the eyes out in front of you, and that might help you move throughout this wave. So this is a figure eight side wave, okay? So our spine was moving from the top down, from the bottom up, but we can also create this wave side to side so that our spine kind of snakes in this direction here. And so we're gonna do that by initiating the movement with the top of our head and creating this figure eight. Change this here. Okay. So feet about hip width apart, and you may find that you have to play with that in order to get the most momentum out of this one. A little bit wider maybe to begin with might help you balance through this one, okay? So starting with the top of the head, you're gonna reach your head up, and then you're gonna scoop down, making one side of the eight. Come back to the center, scoop down the opposite direction, making the other side of the eight. So I'm initiating this figure eight with the top of my head, and the rest of my body is following through. So first goes the head, then comes the shoulders, the hips, and then the knees. So you're creating a figure eight, driving it with the top of the head, and everything else follows through. Kind of helps if you bend that knee down and go deep into that side of the figure eight. Lift up, cross the center, down to the other side, lift up, cross the center. And then again, when you're comfortable, see how smooth you can make the wave. See if you can keep the ribs facing forward, so the hips and the shoulders facing forward. Sometimes what happens is we turn to the side in order to get that figure eight. I want you to keep shoulders facing forward and hips facing forward. Head starts the movement. Everything else follows through. Figure eight. Crossing in the center, scooping down on each side, letting the rest of the body follow through. You should feel this one lighting up your obliques a little bit more. If you do 5 minutes of each of these waves, it's a little bikini boot camp. Lights up the core, all sides. Good. Figure eights, we're gonna go 5 more each way. Good. 4, 3, 2, and 1. Shake it out a little bit, relax. So again, we started at the top, worked our way down for that movement. We're gonna make that same side wave with the spine, but this time initiating it from the bottom on the way up. So this one's actually going to start with the hips. What tends to happen, you kind of shift your weight with the foot so you can kind of push into your toes on one side and hinge that hip over the other side. Sometimes what happens is we start to initiate with the shoulder by lifting it up, but I want you to focus on the hip going first, and then that shoulder will move. Okay, so if we kind of start with this little side wave, you know, like what we do at a concert, right? And let everything up above start to follow suit. Okay, so that hip is going to come out first, shoulder is going to kind of lift, I'm going to pull myself to the other side, head is going to whip over, and then it's hip, shoulder, head on the other side. Think about someone pulling at that hip first, and everything else kind of following through. Let the head be loose at the top, less tension we're holding in the neck, the easier the wave should flow. Try to keep those arms relaxed. Remember, we're not initiating it with the shoulder, we're initiating it from the hip. You really have to push through the feet in order to start that movement each way. Nice and loose. Good. Side to side. Again, keeping those shoulders facing in front, hips forward, and that we're not turning ourselves in any way to get this movement, okay? Starting with the hips. Everything else follows through. Good. Let's go another 5, 4, starting with those hips, 3, 2, and 1. Good. Relax and shake it out. How do the spinal waves feel?